So, Mika, does the opening up of labor markets affect the wages and employment of workers in advanced countries?
Yes, I will explain this to you. The opening up of the labor markets has affected advanced economics first through the migration of a lot of workers from the developing countries towards the advanced countries. Although immigration of workers remains highly restricted in most countries, the migration expanded the last 2 decades. The growing pool of global labor has contributed to the rising of labor compensation of the domestic workers in the advanced economies, because the workers were forced to boost their productivity and output because the supply of workers had tremendously increased. And also because of more competition they faced. Since 1980, the compensation of domestic workers in advanced countries has increased. Also the employment rate has increased. Because the developing countries opened up, the global of labor has expanded in the last 2 decades and has benefited the advanced countries. There is a lot of migration from developing countries, and the effect of this is that the companies have to operate more efficiently in advanced countries. So the domestic workers have boosted their productivity and output so they can face the competition. This results in higher labor compensation for those people, and also the employment rate has increased. And now the domestic workers have a problem because the migrants are very cheap and the domestic workers are too expensive. So the answer to the main question, does the large pool of labor affect the compensation and employment of the workers in advanced economics? The large pool of labor has affected the compensation and didn't affect the employment of the workers in advanced economies. The compensation has increased and the employment for domestic workers in advanced economies has been stable.
Thank you, Mika. Can you illustrate these points?
Yes, I have made an interview with an employee of PNL. We will watch it now.
I'm Micha Boscha. I'm a student from the Erasmus University of Rotterdam. I follow a minor called Development Economics and it consists of 3 courses. One course of it is Empirics of Globalization. And for this course we have to do a major project. Therefore I want to ask you a couple of questions. Is that possible?
Of course, that's not a problem at all. What do you want to know?
You work for a nursing home called PNL.
That's absolutely right.
Perfect. I want to know the impact of the foreign workers on the employment for the domestic workers.
Then I'm glad you are here. This is the perfect place for a demonstration of foreign workers take over the job for the domestic workers. I work here for almost 10 years now. And when I started to work here, there were almost only domestic charwomen. And nowadays there are only foreign charwomen, so the foreign workers have taken the places of the domestic workers.
I understand, but how is it possible that the foreign workers get a job instead of domestic workers?
I don't know the exact answer on that question, but I think that the foreign workers are cheaper than the domestic workers. The domestic workers have a higher standard of living and they demand higher wages than the foreign workers. So the foreign workers are cheaper and they work at least as hard as the domestic workers. And I think that they work even harder. Dus the foreign workers work hard and they are very cheap. And I think that is the reason why foreign workers get a job instead of the domestic workers.
Okay, that's very clear. But what happens with the compensation of the domestic workers who already worked for PNL?
The wages are very stable. They are not declining. But they are neither increasing very much. So due to the foreign workers, the domestic workers can demand any increase in the wages. Because when they do so, they will be replaced by a foreign worker.
I understand it. Thank you very much for your time and good luck with your job at PNL.
Alright,
So,
bye-bye.
thank you. So the theory of an increase in wages doesn't fit in every sector of the economy. And the theory for the employment rate for domestic workers is neither true for every sector of the economy. Thank you very much.
So these are the effects of migration on the advanced economies. But what are the effects for the home countries of the migrants?
Well, the main effect, according to the NEL theory, that is the New Economics of Labor Migration, that is an article written by Edward Taylor, is that migration has a positive effect on the labor sending areas, the home countries of the migrants. It has also, it has been said that migration causes a brain drain and it has a negative effect of on the people left behind, because they will lose a lot of skilled workers and capital also, because the people are skilled. And so, well, this then can be compensated if the value of the remittances sent back is higher than the effect of the loss of the skilled labor. Due to the sent remittances by the migrant workers to the home countries, the households in the home countries can use that extra income in various ways. One way is they can invest in boosting their own productivity, like invest in education. But what the NELM theory is saying, that most of the remittances are being spent on local product markets, so that it doesn't only have a positive effect on their own household, but also on the local product markets of the people who don't receive any remittances.
But do the remittances have the same effect everywhere?
Well, not in all the labor sending areas are the effect of the remittances the same. That depends on many factors. One, for example, is how the households themselves are connected with the local product market. So if they're very self-sufficient, then they won't spend that much on the local product market. So that will have a less effect on that area. And what is also important is to look at the infrastructure and the institutions in those areas. If they are lacking or they're not complete, then it's hard to have a lot of effect of the remittances to invest or just distribute the money. But however, this is also one of the main reasons why the people migrate in the first place. Because of their own market failures or shortcomings, how you wanna put it. And migration is just a way for the households to ensure their own financial stability. So in conclusion, remittances are very important for the home countries of the migrants. If the amount sent surpasses the official development assistance. However, it is not always equally distributed across and within the country. That varies, depending on those factors. And therefore, it's also important for the government of the home countries to put a focus on good economies, policies, and not just to rely on those remittances sent by the migrants. However, though, they still have a very positive effect in conclusion, according to this article.
Okay, thank you.
I've asked a migrant worker about their own experience, and as you can see by this interview. So now I'm going to ask the question to Ab. Ab is working at the contact centers in Leidschendam, and he is helping to set up a branch abroad outside of the Netherlands because of the low wages. And the question to Ab is, do you think because we open up a branch outside of the Netherlands because of the low wages, that the demand for work within the Netherlands will slow down?
Ik denk zeker dat het in Nederland gaat afnemen. Het buitenland is veel aantrekkelijker en dat is om één hoofdpunt, omdat de kosten gewoon veel lager liggen. ICT-kosten, telefoonkosten, maar zelf ook de mankracht. Het scheelt in sommige landen gewoon echt de helft. Dus ik denk dat de toekomst echt in het buitenland ligt. En dat zie je nu ook de grotere bedrijven die in India filialen openen. In Pakistan en Turkije en ook Noord-Afrika.
So finally we can say it's hard to make one conclusion about the effects of migration, and as you can see there are a lot of different viewpoints on this subject, but we're running out of time, so for next week